Hey everyone, welcome to Unit 5, your final unit in English 221. You've made it almost to the end. We're very close. We're in week 12. We have 16 weeks total. So you definitely are on the tail end of what has been a good, solid, and a long, sometimes fall semester. All right, so let me talk a little bit about what Unit 5 is all about. And I'm going to do that by clicking into kind of what started it all. So one of the many subscriptions that I have, because I love reading and I like the news, I belong to or subscribe to the New York Times. And at the beginning of September, they ran a series called What is School For? And this series became very controversial very fast, largely because they didn't really talk to any educators and they didn't really talk to any students. They talked to people out in the world, but who kind of basically were given a voice to chime in on kind of the relevancy and like what good is school for. And so that really kind of got me thinking because as an educator, right, and as a parent, I have a pretty clear idea of what school is for, I think. But then I read all these essays, right? And there were 9 essays as part of the series, and they're all linked here. If you have a New York Times subscription, then you'll be able to access it directly on the New York Times site, but there's probably a paywall. And so all of the essays that were published in the magazine are here. But it really kind of got me thinking about what is school for, and who better to ask that than students who are taking this class, whose primary aim is more school, right? Students who generally who take 221 or 230, are not going to be done just with an AA. Like you're taking these classes because you need them to transfer. And so it kind of got me thinking that you really are poised to have a very unique perspective and answer to that question. What is school for? And so that is your Unit 5 prompt, essentially, is to write on that question of what is school for. There are 9 different examples here, and these are examples just in the sense that this is what was published by the New York Times, but they do give us a foundation for how we're going to approach the assignment. So the next page from here is the actual assignment, right? This is kind of explains what you're going to be doing. And let me just say this, right? All of the pieces and the elements, the concepts, all of those that we've been studying all semester long now are going to be put to use, starting with the rhetorical situation and the type of reasoning that you choose to use, inductive or deductive. What types of rhetorical moves you want to write in this last essay, where you're trying to answer this question, what is school for, right? What kind of appeals do you think you will use? So that actually kind of goes back to cover Unit 1, right? And what we did with the scholarships and the PIQs. And then kind of thinking about, okay, how can I organize my thinking? What form or structure can I use that will benefit the way that I'm trying to present my ideas? How can I address people who think differently than me? How can I bring in that opposing position or opinion? How can I integrate evidence into my writing in a way that makes it seem very kind of natural, right? And so all of these things that we've been practicing all semester, remember, going back to my very first analogy, right? We're not just going to squat. We're going to squat and do our bicep curls. We're going to lunge and do our press. We're doing all of these things together in conjunction with each other. So that way we can get now to this final piece of writing where all of these skills that you've been practicing, you now get to actually put to use. And so that's your goal for Unit 5. You can read through this assignment. It's got all the little details in it. But a couple of things that I want to make sure I highlight, right? First is that I absolutely encourage you to conference with me. In the past, I have required students to conference, and students ultimately came back and said, a lot of them work during the day, but I have limited capacity in the evenings, so conferencing was hard for some students. So I stopped requiring it because I don't want that to be a burden to you. But I absolutely want to encourage you to conference with me. Conference with me multiple times. Come into student hours. You have open access. Schedule a one-on-one. You can do that too. But I would encourage you to talk to me about how you're thinking about writing this response. The second thing is that you can't revise this piece. So this is the one that's just like one and done, right? When you submit it, that's it. And I will give you feedback on that, of course, but you're not going to be able to revise that. So this piece of writing needs to reflect your best effort in the sense that for many of you, unless you're going into the humanities, it may be the last essay for an English class you ever write. I know, it's like, bells go off in the background. But if that is the case, then you want to make sure that this represents your best effort, right? I mean, we've been working on not very long essays in here, but a lot of writing in this class. And so how can you now kind of bring all of that effort and hard work to fruition with your final essay? You do have a minimum word count of 1,000 words. So if your essay falls shy of that, it will be considered incomplete. The New York Times essays, like their lowest one is 950. They go up into the 2600s. You know, if you want to go long, great, but you need to have at least 1,000 words on this. Do you need research? Yes, you do. You do need research. You'll notice that the New York Times writers, they use hyperlinks because that's not something that we went over this semester, and I don't really want to pause to teach that because it sometimes makes things harder for folks. We're just going to continue to do MLA formatting, but you'll see that there's a research component here that explains what your requirements are. Your due date, Friday, December 2nd, it's always the Friday, and then you have until December 4th, which is that Sunday for the grace period. That grace period, December 4th, opens up into week 16, which is why I can't give extensions for this. In fact, as soon as you start turning in the essay when you're finished with it, I will be grading those very quickly because you need that information back before you can do your end of semester grade proposal. So this essay cannot be extended at all. So a couple of other little things I want to just kind of make note of. You know, a lot of you I know have been experimenting with the mentor skills and the writing territories. Great, this is also a good place for you to do that. A lot of you have been experimenting just kind of with your own voice in your writing, right? And kind of where you are. Can you use I in this essay? Yes, yes you can. And I would encourage you to because this is your opinion. School is for what, according to you, right? The other writers are explaining what they think school is for. What do you think? And there's no right or wrong answer. You'll see that there's one writer who's like, school is for wasting money. Okay, defend that. School is for bettering America. Okay, defend that. It doesn't matter what your response is, but you need to support it. And you need to support it with your own thinking, and you need to support it with your writing and rhetorically. So that's where we're at with Unit 5. I hope that you enjoy this unit. Again, no new skills here, only the skills that we've been working on all semester long. So if you're not really sure, you can go to the left sidebar in class. You'll see there is a link there for writing skills. There's a link there for rhetorical skills. And that way you can kind of review much of what we have learned this semester. I strongly encourage you to conference with me though, even if you just want to just kick around some ideas. I'm here for you. All right, enjoy Unit 5. It's the last semester, it's the last unit of our semester. And please don't hesitate to ask questions.